070. I think 27. Yeah. Nice morning. Yeah, I've seen a few orders come in. We've had quite a slow week in sales, to be honest. Slowest we've had in probably 2 months. Don't know what everybody's up to mid-October. Could be coming up to Halloween maybe or something. Definitely caused a bit of a slowdown. I've done a tiny bit of work on this yesterday, just identifying a few hard to identify components. Some of the components up here. 109 is that one. R47R. This is a PC engine that we've been working on for quite a few days now. So it's a customer's handheld retro gaming device. Basically, we're trying to reverse engineer most of it as we're going. Swapping all the components off this customer's green board over to our brand new whiteboard, and as we're doing that, I'm measuring every component and making a list of all the components on there, so that we can get this assembled at factory next time instead of me having to hand move over everything. And one of the things that I found was wrong, a few people have done some of the stuff like this, like measuring all the components. So I've got a few lists from other people that I can compare to, but everybody so far has measured mostly the inductors wrong. So everyone's measured like these wrong, L100 and L501, L502, and they haven't measured these. So I'll show you why in a second. So if we get this inductor and move him over, let's do the ones above actually. So we've got this one, so L103 this will be. If we just take L103, move him over to the edge so we can measure him. And then now if we get the LCR meter, people struggle to measure inductors because there's more than just inductors and they react differently. Similar to caps, they react differently under different circumstances. So we measure this one. You can see here the first telltale sign is it thinks it's a resistor, a 0.5 ohm resistor. So let's tell it it's an inductor. And let's measure again. Now in this case it's a 1.5 microhenry inductor, so it's more than likely a 2 or a 2.2, but a 1.5. We'll put down the 1.5 because it won't matter that much. So this is a normal inductor. So that is L103, 1.5 microhenry. And for the current, I'm just going to rate everything because the size allows us. I'm going to rate everything at 1 amps when I put them on, because the original board could pull up to 1 amps if you mod it and stuff like that. So we don't need to bother testing the current. I'll just literally over spec it basically, so it's better than it needs to be. Yeah, that's it. PC Engine. Well, it's a PC Engine GT, which is the handheld version. Give that a second to cool. And then I'm not going to put the audio amp on because we sell these new, similar to the wheel. So these two, the wheel and the amp, I will get new. I'll probably grab them later and chuck them on. Next we'll miss the cap a second. Let's get these inductors out of the way. So now AL104 we'll do next. And then we'll come back to that cap in a second. So same thing, take it out of circuit first. We don't want it sitting in circuit and affecting the readings. Let's put the LCR meter over this one. That's 1.7, so that's likely a 2. So I reckon both of them were 2. But for now, I'll put 2 on that one. And then when I look at figuring out the schematic a bit more, when I reverse engineer the actual layout, I might change them all right. GPU for 360, I've got a bunch of 360s. I can send you the consoles for free. We've got a bunch of donor boards, so if you place an order and ordered DHL on shipping, and then leave a note, please include a free donor 360. I can just chuck you, a board or a whole system in, basically just stock we buy in, broken and don't work on. It's very unlikely going to be a bad GPU. They're just like donor stock we buy in to, have spare parts for. But to be honest, we rarely need the spare parts off the 360s, so I can chuck you one in an order. Yeah, you can just pay for shipping. You could buy something if you wanted, so we can make a bit of money on something, but you don't have to. I can just chuck it in if you just paid for DHL shipping. Yeah, no problem. Clamps. Which clamps are we on about? Are we on about these things? Which are, these are actually for the LCR meter, like these kind of clamps. Or are you on about some other ones? Clean power for Saturn, it should be in stock. Or have we not had them delivered yet? No, they're still being produced. They will be about probably another week or two. We changed factories, so we had to do the whole quality control checks and test sample runs and making the packaging all over again. So luckily we haven't gone out of stock of much, but the Saturn ran over a bit because we sold them that quick. We've got a gap, but yeah, they'll be back in stock in about 2 weeks. Right, let's just chuck this cap on, just so I don't forget. C905. I wanted to just do all the inductors in a row, but let's just jump back to this cap because I can see me forgetting it. Where are you? There, this little dodgy one here. Similar thing, just come in from the side, loosen him off the board, grab him with tweezers, and then if I can get him off my sticky tweezers, we will place him on here to measure. Change the meter to capacitance. Oops. Come on. There we go. Caps will want, well, most components will want to cool down, so we might have to let it cool a bit. But let's see what this measures now and compare it to other people's reading. 4.8 nanofarad, that's a bit of a strange one. 4.7 would be right, but it's not normally over, but 4.7 nano. That is on, I think it's going to be the audio circuit, isn't it? So this will be like a filter, that'll be, with it being so low. C905, so, oh, this is why, this is actually where my designator's backwards on. This is what somebody pointed out and noticed yesterday, I think it was. This actually should be C509 on ours. We've written it backwards, so it's actually C509. And another person has measured it as 4.7. Yeah, so it will be a 4.7 nano. That's two of us measuring the same. So let's put that in as 4.7 nanofarad. Move him back out. Thanks, Ian. It's all just practice. The small soldering is not much more difficult than the large. I think your main thing when you go from like big pads to soldering small is just technique. You've got to start using flux and the right temperature irons, and you've got to trust that you're not worried about short. So if you ever want to get into micro soldering, the first thing I'd recommend doing is, like, say, pick a chip like this. Say you wanted to reflow these pins, and just do this. Just get a load of solder on your iron, lob it up and down, get some shorts everywhere. You could fill this entire thing if you wanted with solder. Just break your nerves in terms of you panicking about making joints, because a lot of people will get into soldering and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to make shorts, and they'll go on the edge of the board like this, and they'll be desperately trying to get into each leg and tin each leg like this and not make a short, and you're not getting good heat flow there, and you're not getting good. I know I've probably made that look better than it would have been there, but that's not a good way of reflowing them. You want to just get over this fear of doing this where there's like bridges, because micro soldering isn't about getting a finer tip. You can see the size of this tip is, like, you know, massive compared to the components. It's literally bigger than the components I'm soldering. The key is more about just using technique. So if you just get flux on here, nothing else but flux, and run your iron down slowly with plenty of heat, get to the end, lift off, clean your iron tip, bit more flux, go on, and it looks like nothing's happening. Do this like 2 or 3 times, and your iron's just slowly wicking away that excess. You don't need anything else but flux and an iron tip. So one more and that'll be completely gone. There you go. So it's more, well, there is skill involved, but there's not as much skill as you think. It's just about knowing techniques and removing your worry about making joins and things. And then to get these off again, just flood them with solder, and make sure you grab them with tweezers before they disappear, basically. A bit early now. It's a bit late this morning. I actually slept in. Didn't get up till 6 o'clock today. What was I doing? Oh, I got the X-Real. I forgot I'd got X-Real Air 2 VR glasses. I got them in a cupboard. Never used them for ages. Only brought them, thought they were cool, and put them in a cupboard. So I realised I got them, opened it up, and I've ended up playing Resident Evil 2 on AR on the ROG Ally I've got. Absolutely crazy good. Put a hood up so I couldn't see any light. Put the glasses on with a full blackout. Headphones in. Absolutely amazing. I forgot how good they were. I've never even done it on that. I just brought it for work. Literally used them like once and put them in a cupboard, and they are absolutely crazy good. So now I want the new X-Real 1 Pros, I think they are, just because they're a bit slimmer to your face, because the missus is laughing at me because they stick out like sort of here on your face. So yeah, I want to spend more money on them now. What was I after? It's after the designator for the resistors by the amp. Let's do them next. So this little thing here, that's got an arrow. So R107, and this will be R108, I believe. You have to really pay attention to where all these things are. Yeah, so That's 107. That's 108. Yeah, this is a TurboGrafx. It is the TurboGrafx Express, I believe it'd be if it was the American one, but obviously the PC Engine GT for everybody else. And we're just transplanting all his components off his motherboard onto ours and measuring them as we go. So I'm just making notes in an Excel spreadsheet for every single component and what the values are. I've been doing it for a few days now, so I'm keen to get somewhere close to the end. We don't do the GPU replacements for 360s, no. We just not something. I think it's something I want to do, basically. Quite a lot of work, reball station, preheat station. I've got all the equipment, but I'd have to get it all out and set it up, and it's not the style of work I enjoy. Right, so this is 332, which means 33 and then 2 zeros. So 3300 should be 3.3K. So let's double check it's good. Messed up the USB ports, to be honest, are not that easy. With the USB ports, you've got a few issues. You've got some of them have holes in, so you might need to tape the grills and vents on USBs. Have I got anything lying around with that kind of thing? I should have, but nothing to hand at the minute. But yeah, you've got, like, you know, the open vents, the bent-in vents. You can tape them with aluminium so the air doesn't flow through them, if you will. And I've pre-tinned both of them. And then you've got the fact that the board's got to be heated up quite a bit to melt the solder. So you've got to get quite hot with your hot air. And then you've got to make sure you're not melting other components. You've got to make sure you're not melting the USB. So that is quite a skilled technique. It's something that you just need to buy a bunch of donor boards for, practice on, and find the technique that works for you. Most people will always mess up the first 5 to 10 USBs, probably, until you find a good rhythm and a good technique that works for you. And again, main issue with that is people don't put enough heat on. They panic and then the pins don't melt underneath. You shouldn't need to use an iron ever for it. The USB should flow on with no soldering iron, all just heat. Too early for this work. It isn't. It's normal time. This is 332. I'll measure it on the board. So I'll swap this over because I've already got the hot air in hand. I'll double check it's actually measuring correctly when I've placed it on here, because we haven't measured this one. There we go. Made notes of them. We haven't. 3.3K. Classes, not yet. It's something I keep getting asked about. So it's something what I think I'm going to start doing. And I said I'll just keep streaming until we get more people, basically, because I'm not that well known yet. And once we do, I'll probably enable. They might even be enabled now, but I'll enable like Twitch and YouTube subscriptions where you can pay monthly. And then I'll start probably hosting like maybe once a week on a Saturday or a Sunday or something, like a class where we have a small amount of people, or it'll be the subscribe. Sorry, got the hiccups. It'll be the subscribers, but there won't be that many. So it'll be more like a personal class, and we'll go through specifically training and teaching you how to do this. I guess I have had, for years, I've had people on and off messaging, but I seem to have got a lot more lately about people genuinely do want to do that. They want a kind of class going. So I figured that's the best way, just YouTube subs, and then I can do any other kind of videos that are just specific to what people want instead of just a class, and you can get a bit more for your money, basically. And if you don't like it, you just cancel a subscription at the end of the month, and it doesn't cost you much then. Not sure on the 360s. The only thing I really do on them is the JTAGs. Now people I've RGHs done all the time. So that's about the only thing. Did we forget to put this cap on? The thing I said, let's make sure I don't forget, and I did. Yes, we did. And what did we measure that at? What is even the cap? It's the C. Oh yeah, I wrote it down. It was the 4.7 nanofarad. I just forgot to put it on the board. It didn't even tin the pants. That was good. I'll do this capacity to make sure I don't forget it and then completely forget to put it on. It was destined to be left on that board, that was. It's a bit much solder, actually. Let's get this off. Ah, yeah, someone's just messaged saying I've left it. Yeah, just about. I don't know what made me even think of that. I hadn't actually seen that message yet. Don't know that come through before or after. It's got a tad bit too much solder on as I suspected, so we'll, just because I'm going for super clean board on this one, I'll blob a little bit of that solder off. So, I'll do. Yeah, the hot air stuff I can definitely show people how to. I hot air as much as I can. Like I'd hot air an entire board if I could. I'd only use the iron when I can't hot air. More enjoyable and you get more factory finish. Like getting the flow on these pins, like every one of them is pretty much, to me, looks as good as and as close to a factory solder as you can get. And that was no iron touch this board for these pins. All these are just relying on hot air. Now you get that level of neatness with an iron and you're very, very skilled at an iron. Like I'm not that dedicated with the iron to really finish it. The caps, same thing. You just get such a nice, like looking at this board, I'd say, I would personally say this had been machine assembled if I didn't know I'd done it. And that's not bigging myself up. I'm normally not this clean. I don't normally take this much attention to detail, but with this being such a nice board and all white, we've taken the time to really get these connections looking clean. But I do think it shows. I think it's a really nice looking white clean board. No, this is well, it is Hudson Soft, but it is the PC Engine GT. So obviously NEC made them. Hudson Soft with a, well, yeah, they made the chips as well, didn't they? The Hue chips. So this is just transplanting a customer's components off the green board onto our remade PCB because the PCB is damaged. Yeah, the RAM on the Xbox, we do that. What I practiced on, funnily enough, where I got a lot of my practice, even though I've done it for ages, is when I made the Game Gear PCBs. Reflowing them ASICs, and then they sold like absolutely crazy. I went through 100 Game Gears in the first couple of weeks. All of the backlog of damaged boards I kept sold, just gone. So I had to get really good at the ASICs. I wanted to be able to just chuck them on in my sleep. So by the time I come to stream them, that was me already practiced up, and I was very confident in the ASICs. And now when I'm reflowing any chip, even though I thought I was confident before, now I don't even give it a second thought if one of these chips is bad. Like say this chip's bad, I'll just quickly swap it out. It'll take me like 2 minutes to swap out. So it's just, again, practice. The Xbox RAM chips are kind of hard again. You're probably starting on the wrong stuff to practice on is the main problem. You're picking things that I know are more difficult than other stuff that would be easier. So you want to probably build your confidence in the slightly easier stuff first. Right, we'll measure these caps, C102 and 103. I'm going to take them both off at the same time and move them over. So C102 is at the top. C103 is at the bottom. I'm going to guess, just because of where they are, they're going to be the same value as well. So now with that, we will get the LCR meter out again. It's in, there we go, capacitor mode. (100 nanofarad), so 0.1 microfarad. They're a bit large for that. They'll be 50 volts then. Yes, they're going to be 100 nanofarad, which is 0.1 microfarad. So very common, just decoupling technically just for the noise. So we'll swap them over. They're definitely going to be right. Make the note. I've missed L101 at the minute as well. Is that still on the board? Yes, it is. So I haven't missed it. It's just there. And L102, I've wrote down the wrong designator. L102 was 104 when I was calling it L102. Right, so these are, what do they say? C102, C103. I think that's the hardest part about this board, figuring out the designators, because they're not in great positions. Swap them over. So these are both the same. Grab one off. Grab the other off. And then these are the pads we want them on. Again, we've got a bit much solder on these because they've taken solder off from the other board. So they've already got solder on. But they're quite large, so they'll probably take it up. Yeah, they do. Oh yeah, but to be honest, if you want to practice on anything, if you place an order on our website for anything, if you just ask for a bunch of DSs for practice, I'm not joking when I say I've got 200 DSs that are just going to sit there and do it. To be honest, I might even chuck them now. But if I've still got them, I've got hundreds of DSs. I hate them. I don't plan to work on them again. Horrible to work on inside, but great for practice boards. I can send you literally hundreds, so you can really practice on them. So probably ask for like 10 DSs or something, in case other people maybe want them if we start doing classes and people need practice boards. I could ship them out. Right, so we have them caps on. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything up here. They're all done. This and the audio wheel we're going to swap ourselves. Yeah, I always like watching other people do this as well. When you do it for a job, it is enjoyable to sit down and watch somebody else do the work than you. So that'll go on next. I say let's go back to here because I've wrote down this already, and we haven't actually put it on. L101 is this one. I wrote that as L101. It's L104. So we want to L101, which is here. No, this isn't early. This is normal. I'm gonna get up early one day, get up at like 3 o'clock, jump on stream, see who's about. Right, so it's this one. We want to measure it first, so we'll move it to the side. Get the LCR meter open. And this is what I've got a feeling will be showing up as not an inductor, which I'll show what I mean when it happens. But nobody's measured a lot of these inductors correctly for that reason before. So I'll show you how and why. Let's put it in inductor mode. Or let's put it in auto mode. Let's see what it thinks it is first. So here you go. This is almost definitely going to be one. So see how it says 0.233? It thinks it's a 0.2 ohm resistor, almost a dead short. So we put it into inductor mode, measure what it thinks it is. You can see that it thinks it's 0.4 microhenry. So this is where people get confused, 0.3. They'll write down, oh, that's a 0.3 microhenry inductor. Well, I can tell you now that's not. And there's almost no circuit I've ever designed or know of that would use an inductor less than 1 microhenry. So the key there that makes you think is that not an inductor is the fact that it's just read as a resistor on the multimeter, very low, like almost a dead short on the resistor, almost a dead short on the inductor. So you might think two things. You might think this is a 0.3 microhenry inductor, or you might think a little solder pointer. So over here we have the amp. Over here we have a resistor pack. So this you might think this is a really low microhenry inductor, or you might think it's dead. It's neither of them. This is called a ferrite bead. So a ferrite bead is not the same as an inductor. They've used the AL designator. So you might think AL is typically for the designator for inductors, and a ferrite bead is a kind of inductor in a way, but it's specifically designed to be lossy at high frequency. So if you pump high frequency through this, for example, noise, then it's going to increase its resistance. Well, not its resistance, it's going to increase its reactance massively to the point where it absorbs the thing passing through it, so the high frequency signals, and dissipate it as heat. So basically what that means is if you put high frequencies through this inductor or through this ferrite bead, it's going to dissipate the high frequency noise, but let the low frequency noise pass. And that's basically a filter. So that's designed to filter high frequency noise. And the thing that made me suspect there'll be not inductors here is because we're on the audio circuit. So this is semi-common to use ferrite beads in audio circuits to filter out high frequency noise. So anything above 20 kilohertz. Now these typically filter out noise in the megahertz, but they'll also decay harmonics of that signal. So long story short, if you read an inductor on your LCR meter under 1 microhenry, you might want to suspect a ferrite bead. I did test these, so these ones up here, and what I did is put it through my, I've got a signal generator. I put it through there with a resistive load so that it's already got resistance in, increased the signal frequency and loaded it down one side, and then watched the signal pass through the inductors or through the ferrite beads. And at a certain frequency, you start to see a decay in the signal. And that's how you know inductors wouldn't do that, ferrite beads do. So that is a ferrite bead. So let's make a note of that, which is, that'll be 100 ohm at 100 megahertz. Or sorry, it's 100 kilohertz. So you just normally rate them at your DC pass through. So I'll just put 100 ohm ferrite bead. And I'll put 1 amp again to pass through. And they'll normally rate the DC at 100 megahertz, like what? Because that's the expected no cutoff frequency. Above that, it starts cutting off. Well, it's an acceptable cutoff at 100 megahertz. It's 100 ohms, whereas below that, it's 0.2 ohms. It's basically a pass through below that point. Oh, no coffee. Might have to be a coffee break in a minute. I'm out of coffee, but I have got just some of this new stuff. Don't know that anybody's seen or tried this before, but I've just grabbed I presume that's how you pronounce it. Tangerine orange, just sparkling water apparently. God knows what else is in it, but I do read chat, yeah. I usually read chat to forget to move components over, then chat tells me what I forgot to do because they're watching me and I'm watching you. That's what normally happens. Oh, God, that's horrible. Oh, jeez. That is, yeah, that's going to be hard to drink. Oh, wow, it tastes nothing of tangerine. That is disgusting. Oh, that's probably one of the worst drinks I've had. Right, R111. It'll be that one, I presume. Oh, that's really disgusting. How does it taste so bad? How can they make water taste that bad? It's water. Good job they weren't sponsoring the video or something. Right there. That's an inductor, so you're doing it again. These things are so bad. R111 closest to that. Al101 closest to this. and then the line on L101 going to there. The R is here, and the L is over there. That's confusing. Or are we still... Oh, we've also forgot that one, L102. Yeah, well, there we go. So L102 is almost definitely going to be the same as L101. So I'll move it to the side. Non-working PS3s, if it's a fat version, not a slim, you probably got yellow light to death, and it's probably the RSX graphics chip failing. Unfortunately, pretty much no fixes. I'd get a PS3 Slim as the simple answer for that. Yep, this is measuring again as a resistor, so let's put it in inductor mode. Yep, so that's exactly the same. So L102 and L103. What's that, L102? Yeah, L102 and 103 are exactly the same. Sorry, L101 and L102. Well, let's get them swapped over to there. Reads, yeah, probably you might still be dealing with, unfortunately, an RSX issue if it reads but you've got no display. You can try going into firmware recovery mode, so it boots up in a default video out. You can have the obvious, which could just be the port itself being bad. But see if you go into recovery mode, which I can't think off the top of my head what you do for that. Holding the power button for 30 seconds or eject button or something like that. You can Google it for getting into recovery mode. Just see if recovery mode gives you anything on video or not. That'll eliminate quite a few other things it could be. Oh, you can't get the third bit for recovery mode. That might try holding the buttons before you even insert the power cable, because it might be auto booting due to a fault, and then you've already missed the point of where it tries to reset. Oh god, that drink's not getting any better. It's the only one I've got left as well. Yeah, it sounds like the South Bridge, maybe, if you're getting issues like that. Right, the resistor 111. That's 100, so that's not 100. That's going to be 10, and then 0 zeros after that. That means so there should be a 10 ohm resistor, and we're still checking them because we're transplanting them, so we want to make sure they are actually good. Yeah, so 14 ohms close enough. That'll be obviously the 10 ohm resistor. Oh, 111, we need to make a note of, and I need to fill in the spreadsheet with all the ones we're about to do, so that I don't overlook writing down some of the component values again. Morning, welcome in. Doing exactly what we've been doing for the last 3 days still. Working our way through this PC Engine GT. We're getting somewhere now though. We can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. R111, it was 10 ohms. Right, let me just write down all of these designators we're about to do, so we don't forget. We have our 111, which was 10. We've got our 110. We've got C702. Then we have our 101 below as a resistor pack. We've got our 103 to the left of it, C100. Below that, got our 104 and our 100 to the side of it. And then we have, I don't know which one's C705 is meant to be there. We've got C707 to the bottom left, C7. This is where it starts getting messy now. So 108 is that, I presume we've done, yeah. 702 has to be this. That's that. That's that. So this has surely got to be that. That's a giant ident just for this cap. I'd say that. This does not make any sense. We've got too many things here. So if we went from here, we've got 1, 2, 3 are going to be 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2 you'd think are going to be them two, but then why is it just like that when they're this way? Obviously, I presume one of them is a resistor, one of them is a cap. Which is, where are we? Nope. So that's going to be that resistor, that's going to be that cap, that's going to be that cap. Yes. Which means that's going to be that, that's that, that's that, that's that. So we've got all them there, which cuts that off. Q is that. 708 then, so that's going to be 707, 708. Yeah. And then that's going to be 705, 704. Right, yeah, so that's confusing. So let's work our way through this, because these are quite confusing designator positions on there. I've ordered a new soldering iron as well. This beeping's annoying. I've already swapped the lead not that long ago, and I've found one that's even a bit more compact than this for the desk space. Look in here, Rusty having his breakfast. That means he's awake. Now let's start with these. So we'll start with our 103, which is our 103. Where's 103 gone there? That is 3900. So that should be 3.9K. If we measure that before transferring over, we'll do a bunch of measuring and transferring in one go, actually. Yep, 3.8. This one measures 3.8 as well, 3.9. Oh, the 3.9, sorry, yeah. Both of them are 3.9. And this will be 2.7, is it? 272. Yeah, so they all measure correct. Let's make a note in the sheet first. So our 103 and 104 are 3.9K. 3.9K, and the R100 was 2.7K. Right, swap them over. Yeah, until we get a few components on, it's hard to figure out where we are on this. You look around and then forget where you are. What does a MOSFET do? It's basically a semiconducting switch. So for the most part, MOSFETs are used for fully on or fully off. If you wanted like an analog circuit, you'd use a bijunction polar transistor. So MOSFETs are mainly like, you can think of them as on-off switches, but capable of passing more current through than whatever's driving the MOSFET. So say you want a microcontroller to turn on a motor or an LED or mains power. There's obviously different uses for mains power ones, but they basically allow you to switch things on. You can also use it to invert signals. So you could have it where you wanted to say if a signal went high, a different one went low by just staging two N MOSFETs together, and one pulls the other one. But they're pretty much a core to almost everything. Inside the ICs, they're mostly transistors as well, not necessarily MOSFETs. Some of them are, but they're basically inside of all your chips as well. It's the main logic of making things go ones and zeros. What's going on? We are transplanting all the components off this green board onto the white board, which is basically a customer's PC Engine GT. And in the process, we're writing down and measuring every single component so that we know all the values, and we can get a factory to assemble us all these instead of me assembling them. Yeah, the only thing I might improve when I remake this board is I might go through and redo, because I kept this pretty much the same as the original, but I might remake it so that the identifiers are actually in a place you can read. I could just do a map so people could go, you know, like an online bill of materials so people can see, but it'd be nice just to look at the board and know where things are. So keeping it original versus moving those texts, I think, probably makes sense, because at the end of the day, this is a whiteboard. It's not exactly original in a sense. I just wanted to keep it as original as possible. I do have the green version though, so the green version is very close to original. Right, so let's go back up to these a minute. So R110 we wrote down, yeah, that is 47 apparently. So let's measure that. Yeah, if you've done what I've done with the 360, I've bricked one before. This is why it's in the wiki as a big warning. What I was doing is powering the console from bench. I'd put Excel on it, reloaded, and then once I'd got the CD key, I just turned the system off by disconnecting the power. I didn't press the power button. When I did that, I do that, you know, I've done it multiple times, but when I did it specifically on this board I'm talking about, it completely bricked it, and I couldn't even get Excel back on. I couldn't get the debug to communicate whatsoever. That was basically just bricked. So if you've done similar to that, maybe it's bricked. It just depends if you can basically try to start fresh, if you will, and get the JTAG as it's working. But basically, your debug lines, try and get them responding to the PC software. If they don't, even at the base level, I haven't actually figured out a way to recover it from that state yet. But you might have bricked. The main thing on the wiki is it kind of highlights in big red to be really careful with when you're at that stage of running the reloaded. Make sure you've got the power cycle correct, like power the console on and off properly. Don't pull power. So I don't know if that's something you did. Oh yeah, original Xbox fixing. We fix them all the time, like most days. There's a lot of info on the wiki about them. But yeah, original Xbox bad hard drives, you can just replace them and read the EEPROM, reprogram the EEPROM with a new key, or you can put a Aladdin chip on, so you don't need to rekey the hard drive. There's loads of info on the wiki, but we do them all the time. C702. Yeah, this will be on YouTube. It's on YouTube now, and then I think it obviously archives the lives, and you can watch it back as well. Which boards do you recommend to learn on? Whatever's cheapest for you, in terms of potentially breaking stuff. Plus, it depends on what you want to learn. So, if you just want to learn soldering or in general, I'd probably say Game Boys aren't that cheap now, because obviously we mod them, loads of people mod them, and they're very popular. DSs are super cheap, but they're also very small in terms of comparatively to others. They're small, so I'd probably say, yeah, let's let this cool a minute, because that's still climbing on the capacitance, so it needs cooling. Xbox Originals, funnily enough, we're on about them. You can buy them fairly cheap, broken, £20-30 broken. If you wait in an auction, then you've got quite a lot of space to work on and quite a lot of components to practice on. So maybe that's a good one just for working on. And then I've realised you said which books instead of which boards. I've never read any books. I'm all self-taught. The board I've remade, so this is a complete clone 1-to-1 of this board. So I haven't redone anything on it, haven't improved it or anything. It's just purely remade the exact board. This is still climbing. Let's just give it a bit of a cool down with IPA. And then we'll see what it reads. Still climbing. Not far off though, so again, funny value. You wouldn't really use these values. 2.8 to 3. See, there's not a 3. I believe there's a 3.3, but that's probably too low for that. Maybe. But I'd say that it's not going to be a 2.8. I'd reckon it's like somewhere around the 3 mark. But that won't matter too much. It's just an odd size, that is. Which one was it? It was C702. Let's see what somebody else read it as. Yeah, the other person read it as 2 microfarad as well. I've read it as 3. So they probably measured it like I did. Moved it off, and when it was hot, it was measuring 1.8, and it's climbed to nearly 3. So let's measure it again now. It's nice and cool. Yeah, 2.7. So it's settled in now. I'm going to put. I'm just going to put 3 microfarad for now. And then if it's an uncommon size that costs more, I'll obviously make sure the factory tell me, and we'll revise what we put on there. I'll look again at what the circuit's doing and update it accordingly. But we've got the value it's reading at, which is the important thing. Yeah, so the Excel thing, it could have also glitched when it was writing and, you know, wrote a bad image. But normally if you write a bad Excel, you can still get into to do it again, basically, like to get it to boot again. Just apply the 5-volt standby power rail and try to connect to it on computer. But you might have to, the one way of recovering it might be to, I don't know, you can just remove the eMMC and wipe it manually into zeros, or potentially using an eMMC reader writer and just dump it that way, just to, you know, clone it from another one. But to be honest, by the time you've done that much work, you probably better just gain another donor board that's dead, chuck in on another eMMC if you can solder the component, and then it should bring back up. That's the only thing I can think of at the minute for that. Right, so we'll go back down to here. Now we've done those two. We'll get this resistor pack, R101. So put some flux on there. Oh yeah, it takes that. This is taking exceptionally long because we're obviously reading every component value as well. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as bad as this. But yeah, we're in this one for the long run at the minute. And the best of it is this is a completely non-working board with no video, no audio before this. So right, that's 562, I reckon, on those. So that'll be 5.6 Ks, I'm going to guess at. Let's measure with the multimeter. And we'll check them all. Where is it? Is it here? Nope. This. Actually, that's the point. That's the wrong one. It's this one. Oh, these are 5.6 Ks. Just moved it into the wrong position on the microscope. Yep, 5.6. 5.6. 5.6. 5.6. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, this is why I'm doing this as well, is so that next time you buy the boards, they're going to come pre-assembled. So these will come pre-assembled with everything that we're transferring over that can be, you know, purchased. So all inductors, resistors, caps, transistors, audio amps, headphone connectors, DC jacks, power switches, fuses, everything that we can possibly transfer over. And then you'll be left with probably transformer, 3 chips. I might even be able to get the RAMs as well. And then I'll offer this as a second, like a different board. You can buy it blank, or you can buy it fully assembled, or, you know, mostly assembled, to save an absolute ton of time. So I'll probably get these produced after we've finished this. The only problem is they rarely sell. They're obviously expensive, and you know, we don't sell many. But it's a shame to do all this work and then not have some assembled. The assemble board, I can have samples probably after I've built this one. I can probably have samples done within a few weeks. So I'd have a few, and then I'd probably need, well, all I need to do is transfer stuff off my other PC Engine I've got onto. Doesn't look like I've tinned them pads, does it? I'd have transferred the chips off me working PC Engine and put it on a RePCB to prove it's definitely all good, and then would be good to mass produce. That it's just I don't know. It's going to be a hell of a lot of boards to mass produce when it's such low volume. So the factory aren't going to like me because I normally do 1,000 boards at a time minimum per order. There's no way I'm making 1,000 PC Engine boards. I'd probably make like 100. The factory are probably going to charge me a premium, so they might be a little bit more expensive, but I think you can see how much labour time's involved. I think it's going to be worth it for the people that want to do a RePCB, and they also want guaranteed good components on 99% of the board. I think it's going to be worth that premium. Won't be crazy, but it'll be a bit more expensive than normal hardware that I make because it's going to be a low volume run. With the Xbox OG, just be careful what you're heating using, blah, blah, blah. It's that job would do. Normally only do Xboxes, just move on to 360s. I wouldn't do the prom stuff. We've had to stop taking on any kind of custom work outside of this mainstream stuff because we're constantly doing this like all the time, and we can't keep up with the workload. So unfortunately, we stopped doing most more of the rarer limited jobs. In a sense, we don't really do them now. I'll do the odd one when I feel like doing something, or we catch up if we ever have a little break. I'll take the odd job on. I've just taken a random job on that you'll see streamed in a bit. Yeah, that's that basically. Let's measure this cap. What kind of engineering is this? Well, we're doing just soldering at the minute, and you could class this as reverse engineering in a way, but this is really just component identification. It's not really reverse engineering anything at the minute. We're just identifying components. That's a 1 microfarad. That might climb to 1.5 when it's warm. Yeah, I reckon that's going to climb to that random 1.5. They must have had a lot of 1.5 microfarad caps lying around in the 80s and 90s because it's just not a standard size anymore. This is not something you'd normally get. Yeah, that's going to be 1.5 nano, 1.5 micro. And that was C. Where is it? I have put. That's confusing. I've put the wrong component on somewhere. What did we do here? C702's on. But I'm sure we just took that off C702, didn't we? And then we just take that off there. Or am I getting confused? Where did we just take that component from? Or was it C100? Was this C100? Does anybody remember where I actually took that from? Because we've already got C702. I haven't wrote down R101 is 5.6K, I believe it was. Yep. R110 is R110. Have we done that? That's 47. I've missed writing down a few of these. 47R. C100. So surely it was C100. Well, I'll tell you what, if C100 on the other guy's thing is, yeah, they've put a 1 microfarad, but it's grown, so that's going to be that. It's got to be. If not, either way, I've got the readings of both of them from another one, and that makes sense. So I presume I just took that off C100 and then thought I'd taken it off another one. Yeah, we'll carry on doing this pile here, I think. Now let's make this list again so we don't forget to write them down like I've done the last few. So C100 is 1.5 microfarad. C707 we wrote down. Have we not done that yet? C707, no, so that's there. So we've got C707. This is C708. The one below it's C718. And then the other one is C717. The resistor to the bottom is R707. It's easier to look on this board because you still see the components in there. So we have C707, 708, 718, 717. 707 is this. C712 is the cap there. R704 is the resistor next to it. R705 is the one above it. Q700 we'll have to put in the component tester. And then we're back up and we've got these three. So then we've got R702, C704 and C705. Right, so now we shouldn't forget any of them because I've written them down, and if we carry on and see that they're empty, I know I've missed something. And so let's measure all the resistors and then hot swap them all over. That's going to be a much quicker process. So this is 121. What I'll do is write them all down first in one go. So that'll be 120. R702, 120R. Then we have those, which is 562, so that's 5.6K on R707 times 4. So 5.6K times 4, which I actually didn't write on these above. Which were the other ones I didn't write on above? R101, I didn't put the times 4. Oh, I did, times 4. Yeah, I thought I didn't. And then we have R705, which is, let's zoom in a bit more, can't quite see that. R705 is 682, so that's going to be 6.8K on 705. 703 is 13 and then 30, so 13K. And if any of these are wrong when we measure them, I'll correct the sheet. R703, I somehow haven't got written down. R704 and 5. R704, yeah, I just haven't got it written down. I must have missed R703. Could have sworn I wrote them all down. R703 is 13K. R704 is 332, so that's going to be 3.3K. R715. Why have we not got that written down either? Have we? Oh, we weren't going to there. It's over here. So we have now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 resistors and a resistor pack written down. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. So 4 resistors and a resistor pack. So now we can measure all of those, and if they're right, transfer them over. So we have the first one up here, which was 120, which it is. These are resistor packs. They want to all be 5.6K. That one is. So is that. So is that. So is that. This should be 3.3K, which it is. That should be 13K, which it is. Should be 6.8K, which it is. So all those now we can swap over in one go. So if we maybe zoom out a bit, and then you can see the the side-by-side swap over. Well, you're probably going to have to do it that way maybe to fit it on. And get that near the top. Zoom in as much as we can so you can see some detail. There we go, fitting on. Now let's put some flux over this, make sure I transplant them into the right location. Oh, nice, we get a load of spam in chat. We haven't had spam really, to be honest, in any of these chats. There's absolutely no moderation at the minute, bar a couple of bots that tell people off for talking normally, but still don't do any kind of chat moderation yet. Flux, go with Stirri, S-T-I-R-R-I. And at the minute, the best one is the one I'm using. I'm working my way through all of them, but the best one is this Stirri, basically. See how much quicker it is when you batch them up and do. If I was just swapping components on a board, you could see how quick I could get this job done if we weren't measuring. And now it's capacitors time. What's wrong with the old board? It's completely dead. So there's rot, there's rip traces, there's no audio, there's no power, there's no video. Basically, it's completely kippo. So until then, until we've done all this transfer, we don't know where we're at. Got hot, but not enough to flame to burn the wooden cover, just to make it black. So glad I had to listen. What's happened to that board then, or what is the board? What is a Sansu 9090? It might do. The USB port might fit in. Something I've never tried. I think the way you'll find out is if other people sell a board that's different for the DS than the like SP, for example, then it might indicate it doesn't fit, or it might physically fit but not as clean. But I wouldn't be making a DS board myself for the USB. Like I say, I'm not interested in the DS at all, so like repair side of things. So next up we have the C704 and 705. My guess is they're going to be the same as each other. Actually, no, they're a slight different colour. They're probably going to be different. Move that over. Move this down. And now let's test on here. So 704 is the top one. Hi, welcome in, John. What is the Sansui 9090, or however you pronounce that? I'm not even sure what that board is, to give you some general advice. So this is coming up 56 picofarad, which is actually a standard value, I think, 56 picofarad off the top of my head. And that's bang on. That's rare that we get one. So I'm going to put 56 picofarad for that. And that is C704, 56 picofarad. 220 picofarads also a standard value, so these are measuring quite well. Maybe these are some that have actually survived, and that's 705. So 220 pico. And the other person that's done measurements on this has 47 and 215, which neither of those, well, 47 is a standard value, but we've seen 56, so it's definitely not going to be lower. It wouldn't increase in value, so the 56 is going to be right. And the 220 we've seen, so the 215 is a non-standard value. I think they've just written down exactly what the meter said and not like done any kind of rounding up or down. So confident in them too. Let's get them two hot aired over. To there. Ow. That board's hot. Two. Now let's do C70. C707 and 708. What do we reckon? These are going to be the same or different? I'm going to say different again, even though they're in the same location. I reckon these will be different. Cool them down a bit as well, so the measurement's more accurate. The only drink I brought in was one coffee and this U, and it's hard to drink. I don't know if it's the sparkling water taste versus the taste of the thing, but it's not good. I just noticed this thing's lost tracking as well. Track me. Oh, was this thing dead? Track me. There we go. Don't know how long ago that lost focus. Right, then let's measure these two values. So C708, we are measuring 10 nanofarad just above. I don't think it's good. Well, it could be 10, but you wouldn't normally go just above. And this is 10, so they're the same. And that one's almost 11, but there is nothing 11. I think it's too far away from the rest, so maybe they are just good quality 10s. Again, it almost looks like the caps in this area they're probably further away from any other caps, aren't they? Like leaking caps. So these seem to have survived more than the others. They've got decent value ratings, like that are actually close to where they should be. So C707 and 708, I think he said. They are 10 nanofarads. To get them transferred. So we'll hot air these off. Hey, have you posted a question there, Amir? I've seen an at, but can't see anything else. Wonder if the chat's missing something maybe, or you just welcoming me in. For the shipping, just make sure you pick DHL, because the weight. Otherwise, it's going to cost too much for Royal Mail shipping. Yeah, we're transferring over to a new PCB, if you will, the board I've made. But as we're doing it, we're measuring every component, so we can make a bill of materials for everything on here, because nobody has an accurate bill of materials. Nobody has a bill of materials at all, but there's a few people that have done some measurements. But obviously I like to do my own, and I've found quite a few discrepancies, mine versus anybody else's. So this is just me making a complete bill of materials for this, which is, again, another step that helps people repair these. How do I know which part goes where? I'm basically taking them off one at a time from this board. So I'm lifting them, say, 2 caps off here and moving 2 caps over to here, and just remembering, as if I'm doing multiple, I'm just remembering where I've taken them off from, basically. Right, so we now got C718 and 717 these are. So let's again move these to the side and measure. We've got a record number of viewers on TikTok at the minute as well, 250, 60. I think we've never gone above 190-ish. Sunday mornings is the way to go. And Facebook's dropped off the face of the planet. We used to get the most people on Facebook than anywhere. We used to get like 20 people on Facebook. But Facebook and YouTube are quite low now. I think the TikTok crowd are winning it out. The type of flux you use does and doesn't matter. As in, you could potentially use the wrong flux that damages boards, but if you're buying flux specifically for, actually soldering, then it doesn't matter. But just stick with, don't cheapen out on flux. It's the most important thing in soldering. So just go with the Stiri brand, Stiri HT-TF. They've got websites in the UK and America, and you should be able to easily find it and source it. It's about £20 for a big tube like that, and it'll last me, if I'm doing a lot of work every day, it'll last me a month probably. Whereas if you're hardly using it, then it'll last even longer. 1.5 nanofarad. And 3.8, let's cool them down. The 1.5 is probably correct. Scott's still here. Did you go somewhere? Or have you been on from the start? See, so that's climbing slightly now, it's cooled. So we'll let that cool a bit more. I think the main thing with caps is even the slightest bit of warmth from the iron, and it takes a while to cool down to get accurate readings. 433 nano. Slowly climbing, not much. I think we're nearly settled now. Again, that's probably going to then be a 2 nanofarad or a 1. Can't think of anything in between that. Again, slightly strange values there. Neither of them are a range where I'd say is fairly standard. So we've got C718 and 717. Let's see if the other person's measurements are close. 1.5 nano and 3.3 nano, which are both standard values. So let's see if I was get close to that. This one was close to the 1.5, but it's gone above now, I think. Yeah, so that's gone above, and you wouldn't normally go above. It's like most caps will read under, so I don't think it's a 1.5. I think it's gonna maybe be a, I don't know what. Like I said, I don't think there's any standard values between the 1.5 and the 2. So a quick look, see if I can find any other standard values. And you mainly look for standards just because it's typically what people would have used. But obviously back in the earlier days, they weren't necessarily accustomed to standards and good stock. They'd use whatever they had in stock. Yeah, this will work on the US ones. I think there may be the odd component you need to remove. Like, I think there's one resistor maybe you have to either bridge or remove, and it might well be R723 because it's missing on this board. Don't quote me on that, but I believe you should be able to find the info online. There's a very slight difference in, I think it's just one of the components that kind of sets your region up. But we've had people do turbo expresses on these. What was I looking for? Nanofarads, the 1.5. There's a 1.8, so I'm going to say it's a 1.8 nanofarad because this is, with it cooling down, this has gone above the 1.5, so it's not going to be that. Oh no, it's dropped back down. Yeah, no, so 1.5 then, we'll go with that. And that is C718. 1.5 nanofarad. And then the other one, I forget, I think it was 330 we were looking at, 330 pico maybe. See, now that's gone above, so it's not going to be 330. That's more in the 420 range. And was that pico or nano? It's got to be pico. I think it's not going to be nano, I don't think. Oh no, nanofarad. So 420 nano. Closest one, 470 or 400. I'm going to reckon it's a 470 is more common, especially if this is anything to do with video. So we're going to go with a 470 nanofarad on that one, I reckon. So 470 nanofarad. Let's make sure I'm writing it in the right one. C17. Yes, I am. That's them too. Now let's swap these over. So we're going to take off them. I'm just going to hot air those two off and move them over one at a time to these pads here. Anyone got any plans for the weekend? Last day of the weekend? My plan's going to end up being playing that Resident Evil 2 now on that XR VR headset. Now I've got that back out. I just wish on the AR headsets they had a cover, like obviously like I've never used the Meta Quest and things like that, but they fully surround your face. These X-Reels are open, but when you want to play in the dark and submit, like you just need something to cover your eyes like that to make it really good. Oh, I can see me end up 3D printing something for that, but yeah, now I've got them out, I'm defo going to be playing Resident Evil 2 on that. You're fixing an Xbox, the Xbox OG or Xbox One? Probably the OG maybe. Where's the scissors? Yeah, the thing on Resident Evil 2 I didn't realise because there's obviously the Resident Evil 1 had the really bad remake, didn't it? Resident Evil HD, was it? And then they had the good Resident Evil remake. So it kind of put me off playing 2 because I thought I originally played the one that was bad. And then when I've played the 2, this is the first time I've played the remake of 2. I thought it was a completely different game at the start. It was A-cycle, the graphics and the intro and going in a room. And then when I come out and I started seeing the big Arctic flying down the road, I realised it was the start of Resident Evil 2, but they'd added a bit at the beginning. So I'm like, I'm well addicted to it. I only just started it last night and I just want to get back on it now. It just looks so enjoyable. The transistor we're going to have to do. Finishing a server slam on the Arc Raiders. PC keeps lagging. You can run hardware tests. There's what's the really good one I've used recently? Because I had issues with what it's called 14900K, the Intel CPU. Turns out it ended up with faults and it'd been overvolted, and it was a known thing. Well, when I'm doing software development, opening up Rider, it had like randomly crashed the IntelliSense, and it took me ages to figure out what it was, and it was the CPU that was actually, it had got a known fault in the microcode, so it was being overvolted. So I was trying to figure out the best way to like find the problems in hardware, because most of them don't work. And I found some new benchmark hardware, and I can't think what it was called now. I've already done it a month ago. But what I'd do is get some benchmark. You can get like obviously hardware info, HW info. Doesn't really test though, so you're looking for PC stress test is what you want. And start with stress testing certain components and see if it crashes under, when it's, say, running the RAM. Does it crash when it starts running RAM tests or CPU tests? See if you can start with that and figure out any common point at which it starts lagging, basically. So we're going to go on pin 2 first, because pin 1's already attached. So attach pin 2. The green is pin 3. And now we can detach it from the board, move that out and attach pin 1. Oh, not quite. Moved too quick before it had solidified. There we go. Minimum order for the DS? No. Just order whatever you like and leave the note and I'll chuck it in for you. Where do I find schematics? There isn't any. I'm literally making this board, so I've taken an original PC Engine GT board, so like this. I had to buy one, £600, fully working in good condition, so that I could get the good boards. I then sanded down all these layers, and then what I did was, I can show you on the screen. Where is the overlay? There. So then on retro6.wiki, if you go to PC Engine GT, there's board scans now. This is the board that I purchased, like a full working console, stripped down, used some acid and things, got a really high resolution image that you can obviously see all the stuff to, the layers, top and bottom, and all the silk screens. I then took it a bit further, wrote some software that allows you to look through the board at the layers. So we don't have a schematic yet. We have the PCB layers done. That's what this board is. And now what I'm doing is identifying every component on this board one at a time, so that we can make the bill of materials, and then ultimately I can make a schematic from it. So we're working our way to a schematic, but at the minute I'm doing all the identification of the parts. So this is now an interactive thing. You can zoom in and out. You can see how high res it is that I've done the scans. You can press up and down to now go through the board. So an example is, say, on the original board, you can't see anything because it's dark green. So you literally can't see where these vias go at all. If you press up now or down, whichever you want, it removes that dark green layer and you can see straight through the board now. And you can see where everything goes hidden under those layers. You could then say double click here and then go to the other side of the board, and you can see then clearly it goes to this pin. So that's kind of allows you to track any trace damage now. This is all free as well. I've released it all on the wiki for free. But yeah, now I'm identifying all the components, and then I'll be able to make a schematic, because one doesn't exist, or if it does, it's not one I've made, so I don't fully trust it yet, because I've already found all the measurements of other people's components so far are not 100%, so I like to do my own work just to make it right. Batteries for the GBA games, yeah, we do. There's we don't sell them. We can't. I could sell. If you want a few of them, just leave a note. Chuck something in the basket, like well, if you go to send in service on the website, then there's a scroll right to the bottom. There's one that says bespoke order. Chuck a few pound in that as the price, and just leave a note saying loose GBA batteries or something, and I'll send you a few. Right, so now, what time do I start in the morning? It varies. Normally 6 o'clock-ish is like a semi-standard time I'll start working. Right, this component, zoom out, we have a PNP transistor. So let's write this down. We have the Q700 is a PNP transistor. Pin 1 is base, 2 is collector, so 3 is emitter, and the V base to emitter, I didn't notice, is 0.8. So that's probably wants to be 0.7. I think it's just aged, basically. So that is that. All, again, pretty standard. Now, the only one I'm missing here is C712, according to my Excel sheet we wrote down with the ports in that area. Come on, soldering iron. Yeah. Let's get this on our board before we lose it. And this is all fluxed up, ready to go. What's the whole deal with that Battlefield and Call of Duty as well? I don't really play the Call of Duties anymore. Too many sweats like crazy. I went on Black Ops 6, is it the latest one? Sweated it for like a week, got really good. Did a little clip of me absolutely destroying some people, but then couldn't be bothered, left it for a few days, went back on, get destroyed. Like, if you're not at the peak, then there's no point playing. And it's always like ragey, not very enjoyable. But I saw all the stuff, everyone obviously saying Black Ops 7 is terrible and Battlefield 6 is meant to be good, but I've not really dug into that drama. I think I tried the Battlefield 2042 or something, as it's called, whatever the number is. I just couldn't get into it though. Yeah, so we haven't done that C712. We want to measure that one. I'll try and pull up the vid on my little Black Ops thing. I was just going around sniping. I love more the aiming than just shooting bullets. I like to take people out with one shot. Spend your time getting your aim right and, you know, have a more deadly aim than spraying. Don't know why I'm turning on the multimeter. I need the LCR meter. Yeah, I've never. I think I haven't played Black Ops since Black Ops 2. 6 was the first one I really had a semi-decent go of. Played it for like a few weeks. But like I say, just very, very ragey. That's a 1.5 again. 712, so 1.5 nanofarad. Well, that's all then measured that we wrote down in that area. Hey, morning, welcome in. We're doing good so far. We've transplanted quite a bit now. We've done all of this area, all of here, all down here. That's more than we normally do. This we can move over now. We're working on transplanting everything off PC Engine GT. So this is a customer's that's paid for a full transplant. So a little PC Engine GT, but it's completely dead. So we don't know the state of the system, but it's got enough issues on the board, broken traces and capacitor rot and stuff, that we're starting with the transplant first. And in the meantime, we're measuring all the components so that we can get a full bill of materials, because it doesn't exist at the minute. And that's that one. Let it cool down and clean it off. Alright, so now where do we go with this? We can probably finish off this little area and these three, and then we'll go maybe back up and do big chipping across, or no, I'll tell you what, we'll work down the board. We'll do all these bits here and there to there. So we've kind of done half of the board in a way, I'd say. That's what feels better. This is probably going to take another couple of hours now. We've got a bit more of a pace on. Now we've got the process going, and the main thing is the chat will take up, like streaming will take up twice as long as working without the stream, but it's more enjoyable and you guys enjoyed. So I'd probably, if I was working on this off stream, I'd probably got an hour left, but on stream I've probably got three hours. I won't do it all today. I'll probably do another hour. Nothing opens on a Sunday till 9-10ish, so I'll probably do another hour yet. I've got some software work to do as well. But yeah, probably do another hour on this maybe. And then one more stream and we should be fully built on this is the goal. But overall, this is probably, you can add up the stream time. This has taken quite a while, but it's mainly because I'm measuring all the components. It's not necessarily, it wouldn't take anywhere near that long if I wasn't measuring the components, not even close. You saw how quick we could swap 3 or 4 resistors in seconds. I could probably transplant an entire board in, I'd like to say, under an hour. I could do the whole board transplant if we weren't measuring stuff. And I won't have to do the measuring again after this anyway, so this is a one-time thing. We have now, let's make the notes again, because that works out really handy. So I'm going to write down all of these components in the Excel spreadsheet first before we start doing them. And then we can't miss them, if you will, when we come to take them off. So we have D700, so that's actually going to be a diode, a single or a duo. We have R701. We have R706, C710, C711, C701. Don't think we've wrote down. Oh, no, we haven't wrote that down yet. That's all that area. So let's start with them then. So the diode is just going to be a multimeter test in diode mode. And we'll see if we're working on a dual or a single. Yeah, Black Ops. Black Ops 1 was my most enjoyable game. Black Ops 2 was still playable, but not as good as 1. And then after that, I think it never improved, never got better. And it's just, I think it just milked for the money for years and years and years now, personally. I just think it's purely money making. Right, so diode. In fact, we need to zoom in on that diode so I can see what I'm doing. So we'll have, normally you have the cathode here has been the standard so far for quite a few, so let's start with that. Yep, so there we go. So cathode here, anode there, we've got a 0.6 volt drop, and there. So that's exactly the same as all the others. Basically, we have, I think I've been to the drawing. It's basically like this. So the cathode is on the middle pin, this pin here, and then you've got the anodes going into separate pins. So you've got 2 diodes in the single package. So that will be, we can copy that off the last one. D700, that's the same as, wow, that's a way up. Dual diode, anode 1, cathode 2, anode 1. It's the same as D205, for example. So that's D700. Resistors should be easy. Let's do all the measuring and then move them over after. So that says, does that say 474? Can't quite see. Let's zoom in. Where's my mouse going? Yeah, 474, so that's going to be 470k. The green is going to be a 0 ohm, so that'll be a dead short. So basically a jumper. That's it for this area, I think. We've got that, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we've got 2 resistors to measure, 0 ohm and 470k. I'm going to guess. How does one get into something like this? I just did it as a hobby. Started up with Game Boys, wanting to repair them, and made a business out of it. but I have done business all my life, so it's kind of I just naturally turn things I do into businesses sometimes. Soldering gun or soldering iron. I've got the soldering iron set to 390C, the hot air set to 480C, and 80% airspeed. So this should be 470k. Nope, nowhere near. But we'll have to test that outer circuit, and that's 180k measuring in circuit. So let's just move them out of circuit. I don't normally move them out if they measure correct initially. Like if they measure exactly on the value you were expecting, it's highly unlikely that being in circuit made it the perfect correct value. Whereas if they're wrong, then I'll move it out and just measure while they're out of circuit. There we go, 470 out of circuits, that's fine. Yeah, so the iron I've run at 390C. This should be a dead short. Which it isn't, but that's got a lot of rot around it, so might need to just break through the rot. There we go. So it is a dead short. Once you get through all the battery acid there, so we'll move them over. Let's move these three over and then do the caps last. So a bit of flux on here because all these are quite corroded, so that's going to naturally clean them up. And then we'll move them over to down here with a bit of flux. So let's take them off first. The caps aren't polarized unless they're the aluminium ones. We've taken all the aluminium ones off, so there's no polarized on this board, bar one by the audio wheel. That's polarized. Kind of want to get him in the flux to clean him up. There we go. Same with this, try and keep him in the flux for a little bit to get rid of some of that electrolyte burning off. There we go, they're clean now. All clean enough. Now move this board in, full focus. Let's get these on. So we have a short down here, and the other one. Come on, flip over. Maybe I'll pick you up then instead. A little bit more flux just because these were quite dirty on the other board. I want to try and keep them or get them nice and clean. No, these are built pretty easy. You can see them under a microscope. Just a normal microscope, you can see what's inside of these. Resistors are just obviously imperfect wires that resist the flow of electrons. Transistors are doped silicon, so that it's all pretty easy stuff if you wanted to dig into it yourself. 4 GBA gain batteries, just say £2.50. I think they cost us about, well, to be honest, they probably cost us £1 a battery. So maybe just chuck £4 on it. I've got like 500 in a massive stack, and it was a while ago I brought them, so I can't remember the price, but I'm not that fussed. £2, £3, £4, whatever you want to put in. And then just leave a note how many you want as well, so I actually know how many. Well, it won't be me packing it, but so we know how many to send, basically. Need to get a bit of that yellow off. There we go, nice and clean. Right, and 2 caps and we've done that. We're flying now. yeah, Picofly for the Switch. We've stopped doing them now because we get so many. I'm going to end up getting sued again. So we've officially stopped doing them. They're not that bad. Well, I suppose skill level, though, it's probably quite high up there on the skill required to do it. But I think the Switch Lite's one of the easier. No, the Switch Original's the easiest. Switch Lite's second hardest. And the Switch OLED people struggle with the most. I think your main pad is going to be scraping off the VIA. Will be your main struggle. But just take your time, and if you know, that's the main thing. Just take your time, go slow, and if you're not comfortable, don't do something you're not comfortable with. Right, so C7, 10, and 11. Have I wrote down them values? No, I didn't. So we have 706 as a dead short. 701 was something else. So that's 0 ohm. 701 was 470k, wasn't it? Yeah. It'll definitely help, but it's not needed. So yeah, I'd recommend using one. I wouldn't solve them without one typically, and I have done hundreds of them. I can do it, but certainly much easier if you actually zoom in. Right, so we've got 710. Have we got C? Yeah, C701. So all the ones we know we're missing are still here that we haven't measured yet. So let's measure all three of these in one go. That's them. And now let's make them cool down a little bit. And I always measure these and then question it and then wait again. So I am going to actually wait for like a minute on these because it always takes about that before they settle in. These pads are tinned and ready. Let's get some flux on them. Then we'll do that, and that chip on there, and that chip there. And that's about halfway. So I'd say, what's the stream been? This has been 2 hours. So I reckon we've got on the next stream another 2 hours. We've done this side of the board in probably another 10 minutes, like all up here. We've got about the same at the bottom. So I'd say one more stream and we'll be. We should be done with this. We should have everything on this entire board figured out and all the values written. And maybe we probably won't get the system booted up because we're waiting on some ribbons and things. Depends how quick they come. But this is the major legwork done. Right, so this is C710, I think it is. So 430, we've had the 430 before, and I said it was probably a 470 nanofarad. So I'm going to go with 470 on that one. And this is 1.5. So similar again. It's going to be a 470 nanofarad and 1.5 nanofarad, which is the same as the other ones. So 470 nanofarad, 1.5 nanofarad. We've had that same combo on another set. And C701. $230. That's not really a standard. What's the closest to 230? I keep forgetting as well. Nano or pico, I don't pay attention. Pico. So closest to 230 picofarad will be 250 pico, maybe. Yeah, 250 pico is a standard size, so I'm going to reckon that's a. Again, these are pretty random values, but it is an old board. Oh, no, it's completely changing. Oh, sorry, this one. It's completely changing value. Yeah, 230. So it's either going to be a 220, but again, I tend to find they don't normally go up in value when you test them. They normally go down. And having more capacitance is usually better than less because temperature changes it as well. Software, it's Avalonia, so it's a UI framework. I've got consulting agreement with them, and I do training videos teaching people how to do software development. So I'm making some software that I sell that automates 3D models in SolidWorks. So if you do any CAD or mechanical engineering, I write software that automates the process, exporting models in different formats, printing sheets, updating custom properties, running custom scripts, all aimed at saving engineers time and money. But that's under Angel 6 that'll be under. If you search Angel 6 on YouTube, you'll see them videos, and you'll see I did one, I think yesterday or the day before. And I'll be doing one after this, probably. Maybe go for a drink first, and then I'll be doing another video on that. That's them three on. So, what did we say 701 was? I forgot already. I'll have to measure it when it's cooled down, unless somebody can remind me what I said for the last capacitor we just measured, C701. And there's that one, 350. Yeah, that sounds right. I think it measured 330, didn't it, and 350. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it was 350. Yeah, no, you said that. Yeah, this is that one polarized cap on this side, just on CC702 by the audio. That's because it's a 470 microfarad, so quite large. So you wouldn't typically use ceramics there. $250, $350. Yeah, let's double check. Can't quite remember. It was one of the two, wasn't it? It was like it measured either 230 or 330, and we uprated it to like 250 or 350. Plus, this is still warm, so it might measure out, but it'll be close enough. Oh, in circuit, it completely screws up, doesn't it? So out of circuit we go. Measure you again. Just give them a little bit of IPA to at least cool off a little bit. $250. So we'd have uprated that. Oh, actually, it's measuring 250 now. It's a bit warm, which is what we said. But the usual thing, picofarad or nanofarad? I'd say pico. Yeah, 250 picofarad. That one. And nano for the others. Now let's put him back on. Pika, pika, pika. And we have now, what I think I'm going to do for this is we will put these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on here. This big chip, and then we'll leave from this line down for the next stream, where we then try and tackle this lot, which shouldn't be a problem at all. We should smash through that. I'll put obviously these two on new because I've got them new. I'll grab them later and then chuck them on. So let's now do R700. Well, let's make the notes again on the spreadsheet so we don't forget all the remaining ones. We might as well write them all down. So we've got R700. We have R713, R716, or 15 and 16. We've got, we don't need to write the ICs down. Well, I suppose, why not? IC703, we'll write down when we get to it. C715. And then we go back up the board. We have, we're leaving that one, so it's just the IC, so IC705. And I think that's it. Hakko iron, I've got Hakkos, I've got Wallers, I've got all of them. I'm just using an AliExpress JBC clone. Works perfectly fine, just as good. Just use high quality tips and there's no problem. I think the best I've ever used is still the Waller micro pencil. That's still the best iron I've ever used, but they're like £700–800. I've still got it, I just don't use it because a lot of people ask what I'm using, and it's nice to be able to recommend cheaper things that they can afford, not just showing off, you know, the really expensive stuff. Sometimes the expensive stuff's needed, but for an iron, there's some really good clones now. So the JBC clones are really good, and they're ridiculous, like £50, absolutely nothing, and they do the same job as a, you know, multi-thousand-pound iron system. For, you know, for the most part, it's not 100% as good, but it's close enough for my liking. Right, so R700, 472, that should be 4.7K. We'll do the same again, I think, measure the resistors, swap them all over in one go. 4.7K in circuit's fine. Make a note, 4.7K. Then we have our 713, 101, that should be 100. 140, that'll just be a bit of dirt and grime, so that will be 100R because it's written on. 7, 15 and 16. These are one of them funky writings where they got weird dots on. God knows what they're trying to say. 0.9, 0.89 maybe, and they just couldn't fit it on. Let's measure that. $100, so they're probably going to be 89, I'd say. No, they're measuring exactly 100. They're going to be 100 ohm, but it's a weird marking, that is. Don't know what the marking's meant to be. I'll move one out just to measure it out of circuit, but that indicator on there is of no use to us, so we're going to have to base it on the value we read. So to be double sure what the value is, we will measure it out of circuit. 120 ohm. So not sure what that's meant to be, because that would be 121, and that writing on there definitely isn't that, but they're 120 ohm. So let's move the other one as well. Let's just be sure that both of them are 120. Upgrading your iron, just go on AliExpress and see, that's now 80, 84. I want to say they're 82s or 89s. That's 75 again. A reading all over the show. Let's clean these and wait. I'll get you a link to an AliExpress in a second, the one I've just ordered, that looks basically like the iron I've got, but I don't need the cleaning section or the big screen, so I've gone with a more compact one. You can get either, it's called the I2C soldering iron, or just search for AliExpress for the C245 soldering irons. That's the name of the JBC tip that goes in it. Opinion on TS101 or HS02A. If you want an opinion on both of them, the TS101 is better, but it's not going to be as good as the one I'm recommending. But if you don't want to see that, it's fine. I won't bother pulling it up on screen for you. That's no matter. Let's read these again. Let's see what this is. See, 79. So these are going to be, I reckon these are going to be like 80. Yeah, 77 and 79. And if we look at the ident on them, I'd say that's meant to be, you almost want to say 089, which would be 89. I think I've seen that on another resistor though, somewhere else. If it was the other way around, it'd be something 8. Where did I see this? I've seen this on another resistor somewhere else already. This kind of very similar ident. I want to say it's up here. Let's pull focus a bit. Like there, see that sort of colon 21. Well, these two dots are an 8. So that's an 820. So if you apply that same logic to these resistors, that would be an 8 in the middle. So you've either got something 80 or you've got 089. So let's just see if 089 is a typical value for 89. I can't quite remember if the 3-digit code is that. I don't think it is. I don't think you normally start with a 0, otherwise it would be a 0 point something. Six, 8. Yes, that's a point. Yeah, it will be. That's right. It'll be, yeah, that'll be a 6, an 8, and a 0. So they're meant to be 68 and the slightly dirty. Yeah, good catch. That makes sense. And 68 ohm would be very close to video output stuff as well, if it's anything to do with the video output stuff. So those are 68s. Then we've got the 3 ICs. So we just got to transfer them over then. We've got no flux on the other side. So let's flux the board up. Then 4 resistors, and we will hot air them over. Cordless soldering irons, yeah. I've done the TS80, the TS100s. I've got Hakko battery powered ones. They're all right for if you're soldering like LED strips and a cinema wall or something like that. But I'm always at a desk, so I don't really use the cordless ones that much. Yeah, that Yihua make, I've just literally brought one. It's a smaller version of this, so less desk space. So yeah, it'll be one factory that makes them, and then they sub-brand them out to other Chinese factories. So it's the same as this Hakko, not the Hakko, the Quick Hot Air Station. I actually found the factory that make them, and it's not Quick. And I used to sell them, and they sent me stock from their factory, but with a different logo on. And I used to get customers saying they're fake and returning them, and it's like, no, they're not fake. They're literally from the factory that make them. But because they didn't say Quick on, they thought they were fake. Well, I could have literally had Retro 6 put on them. The factory were working with me quite happily, and they could have wrote Retro 6 on the hot air station. But yeah, people just presume they're fakes, but they don't realise they're basically, there's never one factory in China that make one thing. It's always, a major factory, typically like an OEM factory, will be making components, and then smaller Chinese companies will have their logos put on them and sell them as their own brand. And Quick is a small company. I know it seems large, but it's actually a small company in comparison to China's OEMs. And I was working with the OEM. Well, let's get these 2 ICs transferred over. Why have I got 3 of them written down? IC 703. Is there... Oh, a capacitor. Have I missed a cap? I've wrote down 715 as a cap. Oh yeah, there, we were going to put that one on, weren't we? So let's check him as well. Yeah, I was definitely tempted to put Retro 6 on, but it was just at the time when we were stopping selling the all the tools and stuff. We were limiting what we were selling. Wrong one, we don't want that. Oh yeah, no, the whole yeah, the whole, I always laugh at that in like pubs and things, home cooked. It's like, oh, you're not at home, you're in a business, so you just mean you've cooked it, but then how is it any different than anyone else in a restaurant that cooks food anyway, unless it's a really bad restaurant that's microwaving food. Right, that's 350 nanofarad again. And, well, the last one was 250 pico, but that's sitting nicely at 250 nano. Oh, sorry, 350, get it right in a minute. And the closest one to 350 nano is 390. So that's going to be a 390 nanofarad, I reckon. Again, bizarre values for a board. We could replace all these with other values, more standard these days. I can guarantee once I've done the schematics, I'll probably review these values. There's no point for these arbitrary values in most places unless it's for filtering audio circuits or something. Other than that, there's literally no point in these random size caps for what they're doing. Oh, we went to Tenerife to a 5-star hotel a few weeks ago, or might even only been a week ago. One of the places we ate out at, I've literally got a photo on my phone, I'll show you. They were microwaving salmon for 17 minutes in front of customers. And this is like a really popular 4.7 star reviewed food place in Tenerife. And they're known, they obviously were good because the reviews were good. But then I've left a scathing review, which I don't normally do, but just literally microwaving fish in front of us, and our meal was absolutely shocking, and there was no serve. It was a really bad experience, basically, so I felt the need to at least let people know. And then you see some reviews on there saying like, oh yeah, it's been good, I've been coming for years, and it's like really bad now, but it's only very recently. But I couldn't believe it. There was literally, see if I can pull the picture up, literally a microwave on view, and you can hear it pinging off and think, I'm like, who the hell is microwaving in a 4.7 star restaurant blatantly in front of customers? But I think they're just living off the reputation. They just don't care now. Where is the microwave? But yeah, we actually found out, was one of the things we found hard, that finding restaurants you could actually trust and had good food. That was the hardest thing over there. It was a lovely place, but the food, there was some really bad food places. The food in the hotel there was amazing, like best food going. See, I thought we went the Italian day one. There we go. So yeah, there's the microwave. So this is the serving, like obviously serving hatch. It's just literally a microwave there, and they're putting all the food in right on view of the customers. It's just like crazy. And it looked good. So I think I went back the next day to take the photo of the microwave. So I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, like the food looked good, but just wasn't at that place. We found some other places that were good. But yeah, that one I'd avoid. Oh yeah, Australia looks amazing. I couldn't do the plane flight. That's the only thing that would kill me. Right, so we need to transfer these two chips over now. IC703 is, and I'll make a note of this. Oh yeah, I couldn't believe it there. Of all things to microwave fish, like, do not do that. 2264. Oh, and then the irony was as well. Classic English culture. I heard the woman, when they were eating it, asked the other one, "Oh, does it taste nice?" And she just went like this. And then the waiter come over 10 minutes later, "How's your meal?" "Fabulous, lovely." I'm like, why do we all do that? Why do we say things are nice to the waiters? And as soon as they left, they were like laughing and stuff. So it's like, why do you pretend it's good when it's not? You need to take a page out the Americans' book there and just be honest. This is obviously some RAM. It is basically the main RAM, I'm going to say, of the system. And it is, yep, static RAM 64K by 16. So that'll be the 6.4 at the end, 6.4 LM. So it's SRAM 64K by 16 bit. So let's transfer him over now. So this is an easy swap. These are really nice space pins and a good footprint. So put some solder on the pads. That's my LCR meter complaining because I didn't turn him off. Flux on them pads. And we'll get the original board. Swap the right chip, that would help. Make sure we swap this one. I'm just going to flux this so they're nice and clean. When we take them off, it'll just kind of clean the pins as we're lifting it off. Yeah, that's a lot of flux. Never have too much flux. Cleans off so well, so I don't really care about putting loads on. Right, I've got this at 480C, the standard temps really, 80% airspeed. Restaurant, Amalfi, I think it was called. We stayed in Sabila, I think it was. Iberia Star Sabira, absolutely amazing. Like, honest to God, we've been like Sandals in Jamaica and places like that, like really high-end places. This was very close to that in terms of quality of hotel. It's definitely a 5-star hotel. Food in there was lovely. Everything about the hotel, amazing. The restaurants, however, outside of the hotel, every single one on the strip has good reviews online, but if you filter by the 1 stars, you realise, like some people were saying, they're mostly bot reviews. They're terrible. Pretty much everyone on the strip is terrible. We went out to Little Indians. Can't go wrong with an Indian. Every Indian over there was nice. We had 2 or 3. The Italian, though, the Amalfi was literally the worst Italian. We've almost never had a bad Italian. That was the worst Italian we'd ever been. While we were in there, that's the other thing. When we were in there, waiting to be served, there was a customer, a man and a woman, screaming at the top of the voice, yelling at the staff, pointing. She come walking up to the window, shouting. We thought, obviously, as we'd walked in, oh, that's obviously like a drunken customer or something. Raging, stormed out. When I read the reviews, if you go on Google reviews or Trustpilot reviews and filter by 1 star, that happens all the time. You say the staff literally, if you complain to the staff about the food, they'll just tell you, "Oh, there's nothing wrong, you need to pay and get out of our restaurant." And they're written in the reviews. I'm like, holy shit, that's literally what must have been happening then. So it's not even like a one-off. They literally shout at the customers, tell them they've got to pay the bill, and to get out, or they'll call the police. That's literally written in the reviews. That's not pin 1. Have I put it on backwards? Yes, it is. It's pin 1. Yeah, I'm going to say, I could easily swap it round, but Wouldn't surprise me. I'd quite easily put it on backwards. I know what I'm like, especially when I'm talking and not paying that much attention. Alright, so that's on nicely. I do still love, I say it all the time on this board, but I love this whiteboard out. It's just so clinically clean looking. There we go. Yeah, you should see my review if you go on. I think they tried to get it deleted, which says it all. I think I had to. I don't know if it's on Google or Trustpilot, the one I left, but it'll obviously come up as Luke. And then I've sent the photos of the food. The food looks good, but it's shocking. Like it was bland and flavourless and stuff. But if you want to go a curry over there, I think it was called, I want to say Goa. That was a really nice curry. And another place I can't remember the name of. If you went out the hotel and went to the left, yeah, go to your left out the hotel. There's a few curry places there, but like I say, I don't think you can go wrong with them. They're good food and authentic and genuine. You can tell they know how to make curries. Basically, they're not just opening a store like all of the others. They'll be like on the signs that they're a steakhouse, a fish house, a tapas house, all the same building. But like, there's no way you've all them skills. They just try to fulfill everything in one. And then the people inside have never been to Italy in their life. They're like, they don't know anything about Italian food or culture, but they just put it on the name of the restaurant, basically trying to get people who are on holiday to just go in without checking the reviews. But even the reviews, like I say, there's so many fake reviews. It's very hard to trust even the reviews, really. That's the problem. You have to go off word of mouth from people, I think. Let's get this one on and then we'll make a note of what this one is. Close enough there, that should pull in. This should pull over when it's warm. No, not going to pull. Wow, this is taking some warmth. Oh, man. Okay, you don't want to pull. There we go. Nudge into position manually. That is HSRM 20256. This is going to be 256 instead. 20256. Yeah, 256K. Is it still 16-bit? 20256 LM12. So the speed is going to be 120 nanofarad. 256 by 8-bit, that is. Let's make that in the note. HSRM 20256 LM12. And this is, again, SRAM. What is it for? Is the question. Not that it matters too much, but I'd like to put a note in of what it's typically part of the system for. I'm guessing at that size, that's going to be video RAM, at a guess. It's 256 in 8-bit strides. It can be 8-bit on the screen or 8-bit for the RGB data. So I'm going to say that is VRAM with a question mark. SRAM VRAM. All right, so I think a bit of cleanup there. And what's that taking us? 2 hours, 20 minutes to do 1/2 of the rear. I'd say that's a good amount of. So zoom out. So we've done obviously today, basically that half, ooh, that's hot, done all of that half. I can chuck those two on after, like I say. We can put this connector back on now as well. Just chuck that connector back on because we've done with all the stuff in that area. My tape is too good. What rework station am I using? It's the Quick 861DW for the hot air, and just a knockoff JVC iron off AliExpress for the Soldier 9, just with decent quality tips. This one can go back on here, so let's just chuck this one on. Zoom in. This should be, I'm not going to hot air this one on because it's plastic, no point risking it. So what I'll do is tin one pad, a little bit of flux, and then we will just hold with tweezers, get the connector on like this, warm up the pad, get that big hair out of the way, wherever that's come from. I don't even know what that is. So it's stuck to the tape. And then we'll probably position this slightly up. I think it's actually locking into position in there. There is a little, kind of doesn't want to move, so that's actually in position. Reflow that pin. There we go, nice looking pins. And that's that on. So we have every component on here. I'm going to put a brand new op amp on for the audio. Yeah, it's definitely not a pube on there. I've been doing something wrong if it's a pube. Soldering with my cock, that would not work. We've got, this is the wheels on the other side that we're not going to put on until very last, because the very first thing I did working on this board was melted the shit out of one of these connectors. I melted this wheel. So yeah, this is a magic eraser, basically melamine sponge. Some of the flux has gone on this side of the board, making it dirty. Let's clean this up a bit. I'll still give this a full clean when we're done anyway, but like to keep it clean as we're going. Yeah, so we'll put, this can go on now when I grab one, a new one, audio jack. That's meant to be missing. These are going on last, these two, very last basically. That was dead from the customers, but it's not needed for the new screen, so we don't need it there. This, I've got a ribbon connector coming, so I can put a connector on there. Then on the other side now, that's the pins for them coming through. Everything up to this halfway point is soldered on. That'll be the pins coming through for the audio jack. The op amp's going to be new, so I'll do all those bits, like the op amp and this, before we come back on. And then the last bit now is doing this area here, working our way down the corner, and then a few here. And that's the entire board done then. And we'll see if it then spins up. I've got to actually wait for this connector to come to be able to put games in, because this is the game connector. So we might have a gap between this being worked on and us being able to actually bring it up, but I'll obviously stream it when we come to bring it back up. So that's not bad there now. We've got somewhere further. And the sun's finally up as well. What time are we on? We are on 9 o'clock exactly. That's a good time to go for a drink. So yeah, that one's pretty much it for today. I'm going to leave my desk as is, and I'll do a bit on it later, just those few bits, and then I probably won't finish this off now because I've got to do software, so I'll probably jump back on this tomorrow, I'd say. yeah, the magic sponges will split when you wipe them, so they all rip when you go over pins. It's when you're going over, like where are the pins? Like over this area. It's kind of by design. That's why I use them. So see how you've got all the lumps and bumps there? These will go over them. But if you're meaning they'll do this, that's what they're meant to do. So that they're pushing through the pins, rubbing your board, but then they shred the sponge. But that's so that after, once you do anything like that over the pins, just get scissors, cut them off, and carry on using them. That's how I use them. And then I just got a baby hoover to clean the desk. But yeah, they're really good because you can clean. There's nothing else that would get in and around parts where you've got, bits sticking up, other than the magic eraser. I've used tons of things for clean, and that's the best thing. I don't stream the software. It's pre-recorded. I'll probably stream at some point, but I don't really have that many viewers at all on the Angel 6 side. It's more, I consult a lot for companies, so it's high-end paid work, if you will. It's not something that typically gets shown off, but the video side, I always try and give away my knowledge for free, so I help people to learn to code as well. Right, I'm just going to clean this board up a bit, because it is desk up rather a little bit. It's a bit messy. I don't normally leave anything out on the table as well when I'm working. I usually clean up every time, so the fact I'm leaving stuff out is a little bit annoying. I kind of at least need to do a little bit of a clean. Get them out of the way. That up there. That on there. Oh yeah, they shouldn't rip that easy. I get mine from Amazon. I can pull your link up in a sec before we go off. Bit cleaner, so a bit more like we're organised and not that messy. Got the customers bits there, tester there, parts to send to factory there, console. Yeah, that'll do for now. Uber can go back away as well. Right, let me just pull you this link up for the magic erasers. I learn it. It's just all self-taught. It's hard to say. You just, I think I said the main goal you have to have is a desire to do something. Like I don't think you're going to learn the hardware if you're just trying to learn it because you want to learn it. You need a goal. Like, what do you want to make? Why do you want to do the hardware? Have some goal in mind, and then you kind of focus on that. That's where you kind of focus your attention then on wanting to learn a specific thing, and just pick something random and just start there. Just start looking into how to do a certain thing, basically. So whether you want to make LED boards, whether you want to make a coffee cup heating element, whether you want to make a wireless router or something, just pick something and then research generally how they operate or how you solder, and just literally start with something is basically the idea. Just start with anything, get going, and just take it in small chunks. Don't try to learn everything in one go or think you're going to know everything in one go. That magic sponge I get here, Mr. Seeger, whichever you want to say. 48 for 11 quid, that is. And the link is, I can paste it in chat, I suppose. The link is that. Now everyone's just got a spam link in all platforms and they'll be wondering what it's for. There's a question about which console you don't have or would like to have. I have, well, what I don't have anymore is like a Jag CD. I used the only working one I had left to fix the customers. Consoles, I've got so many now retro consoles because of the work I do. I have to collect them and buy them. One thing I didn't have was a Game Boy Light, so I actually brought one off a guy in our Discord that did it up. It was kind of nice to have somebody else do it up for me. So he restored it, shelled it in a new shell, made a really nice clean job of the backlight, and I'm loving it. I'm literally playing Pokemon. I was playing Pokemon trading card game on it last night as well, in between the Resident Evil. I really like it. But in terms of other consoles, what I've started to try and do is I want to kind of make the best of each console as I go. So I've got almost no consoles in the games room that work because, for example, the PlayStation 1, I've only just got it finished and I built it on a stream because I was waiting until I knew the best mods to do, the best way to load the games, the best controllers, and I work on them for customers. And then when I eventually think that's good enough, I'll build myself one. So I've only really got a PlayStation 1 and a Neo Geo setup. I want to build myself an Xbox OG. We've got that perfected now pretty much, but I don't want the Project Stella stuff. I think I want to make my own mod chip that then runs BIOS or something else, and then I'll probably make my own HDMI. So that's kind of waiting. But then when I finally build that, I'm gonna play Halo on that as well on the CRT. Right, that one's it, guys. Anyway, I'll catch you. I can't see me coming back on today. Like I say, I've got too much other stuff to do, and I want to chill a bit. Yeah, the Mod XO is similar. I'm basically going to build my own. I already make Raspberry Pi Pico stuff, and it's basically a Raspberry Pi Pico. So I'm going to make it so the install is nice and easy and discreet, and I'll probably add. It'll basically be the Mod XO. I'll use their open source stuff. I'll just make the board easier to install maybe, or I'll check it out, and if it's up to date and up to scratch enough that I think it's good enough, I'll just buy their boards in and use them. But I think there's a few bits on it where I wanted to improve. I think it can be improved on the install side. Right, anyway, guys, I'll catch you probably tomorrow now, I'd say. But thanks for all joining in, and I think we hit an absolute record on TikTok there. We come almost close to 300 viewers at one point. So, yeah, see you tomorrow.